Hello, I am back. Just for a few minutes here. Still watching the Dodgers in Toronto, but something's come up that we need to discuss about Nancy Guthrie, just since I went on the air earlier. If you haven't seen the earlier video, I encourage you to watch the recap or watch the replay on today's earlier live that I did this afternoon. I didn't even have time to make this thumbnail because I just want to make this quick. I'll make the thumbnail later. Hey Jay, I am live again. I don't know if anybody's going to come in, but something's come up that I need to report. I am watching the Dodgers in Toronto, but I had a work thing that came into the computer where I had to type some emails, so I missed the first couple of runs, and then more information was coming out about some more information came out about this ransom that I talked about earlier. So let me just give it a few minutes, and let's just get some people to come in. Hey, Kathy, welcome back in. Yeah, I'm going to make this quick, hopefully, but this needs to be said. We have 8 people in the room. Let's give it some red hearts and some thumbs up. Maybe that'll help YouTube push it out there in the algorithm. I haven't even made the thumbnail yet. I'll do that later this evening. Thumbs up, please. Red hearts, thank you. This is just, this new information is breaking by the moment. Okay, well, we have 10 people in. I guess that's enough to get it going. This is part 2. I'm April Davis, April Davis PI in Los Angeles, California. I'm a licensed private investigator in the state of California. I did a live on the Nancy Guthrie missing person case earlier today. You may want to see that on the replay. If you want to see the chat too, you may have to wait a day or so for it to upload to YouTube. But here we are again. I talked about this new ransom that came in today in that earlier video. You can rewatch that later. Just watch the beginning if you want, and you can hear all about it. But since I talked about that new ransom that came into TMZ today through another reliable source who I will not name, I found out more information than I had found out from the TMZ report. You know, I didn't have a chance to even hear that whole TMZ report before I came on the air. Welcome in, Ron Blackwell. But there's some information about a timeline that I won't go into. But when I heard it, it matches with everything that I had already reported to the tip line. I called 1-800-CALL-FBI on March 24th. I have it recorded in my phone, not the conversation, but I do have a screenshot of the actual call and the time, the minutes, and I didn't get very far. Hey, 45 people. Can I have a thumbs up, please? Hit those red hearts, hit those thumbs up, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. It will help push this video out. I don't even have the thumbnail yet. 59 people. Oh my God, everybody. This is just going to be a few minutes long. Everybody hit that thumbs up. Hit those red hearts. Let's get this out there. You guys hitting the red hearts is obviously working because we have 59 people in the room. Welcome in, everybody. I am a licensed PI in the state of California. I am not officially working the Nancy Guthrie case in any capacity whatsoever. However, I have 42 years of investigative experience. My audience here on my YouTube channel encouraged me to call the FBI in March and to call in a tip, which I did. And sadly, I talked to a rep who didn't want to take anything that I said seriously, and she was very nasty, very rude, gave me a very hard time. Hi, Rita. Welcome in again. I was watching another video when this came in. Okay, well, thanks for coming over. I just found out some additional information about the information that was in today's ransom. Wow, 79 people. Oh my God. Everybody, thumbs up, please. I am just recently became monetized. Please, this is so important. And I'm not doing this channel and I'm not calling in these tips for the money. I'm doing this because this case of Nancy Guthrie missing needs to be solved. And there's someone that is writing ransom notes to TMZ, basically begging for either 1 Bitcoin or it may have been revised to 1/2 Bitcoin because they have information about where the remains are and who's involved. And there's a few things that this person, who I think is a man, has said that I'm not going to talk about the more recently things that I've heard today from another source. But oh, thank you for the gift. Who sent me the gift? Average Nostalgia. Thank you so much, honey. This timeline that this person, who I think is a man, who's been writing these, not the original ransom notes asking for the 6 million in Bitcoin, but this subsequent writer who is connected, I guess, to a separate email address. And he is saying, like, Kellyanne Sullivan, one of my biggest fans. I just want to, it's almost like I want to confess, and I want to thank you guys, because after I heard what I heard today and then heard again today, I realized that I need to call the FBI again. And I have to pray. Hi, Janet Gross. Welcome in. I have to pray that I'm going to get a different rep. Remember, last time I called was in the early afternoon. This was in the late afternoon. And it took me a lot longer to get through. I was on hold a lot longer than I was before. But it was actually a man this time instead of a woman. And he's from the National Crime Reporting Bureau or something of the FBI. He's like, we're just a national call center. I cannot guarantee you that you're going to get contacted by an agent. But I said, the other woman wouldn't even let me explain. And this is so important. And I have a suspect that I think is a perfect match for the man behind the mask. And not just that he matches the man behind the mask at the front door that was, video recorded the night of the crime or the morning of the crime, but this guy is connected to another country. But this guy is also connected to Tucson and businesses in Tucson and has access to private transportation, money. Some of his cohorts connect to some of these other characters or actors that I call them in this play or this soap opera, as one of my viewers described. And to hear what I've heard today, not once, but twice in more detail, it's like this is matching perfectly with what I have thought since February 13th. And, I'm not working this case in an official capacity. I don't have all the information that the FBI has and the Pima County Sheriff's Department has. But in less than 2 weeks, I even sent a text to a friend and I said, I think I've got it figured out, but I can't say who it is. I mean, I have a name, but I'm not going to publicly state. And it was gnawing at me. And in March 24th, to be exact, I called the FBI. I called in the tip. The lady was a complete a-hole. Excuse me. I have to be careful what I say because I'm since monetized. Thank you so much for everybody that's sending in those super chats and those jewels or hyping my videos or just replaying, watching my long form content, my live content, going through the playlist. It's helping me build an audience. I'm hoping that I could actually get to 3,000 subscribers sooner than I thought. I never thought I'd see 1,000 or 2,000. Let's get that count up to 3,000. Thank you, Kathy. She says, let's show April the love. Please hit the thumbs up. Thank you so much. What are we doing? We're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case. This is my second live today. I'm watching the very important Dodger-Toronto Blue Jays game in Toronto, but more stuff has come out. Oh, it was 106. Now it went to 16. 106? Come on, let's say more than 16 thumbs ups here. Do it for my birthday. My God, my birthday is on the 12th. Come on, let's do it. Let's get it going. Let's make some money here so Mama Bear can pay for the dentist on Wednesday. We talked about that a little bit in the last show, so I won't go too much into that. Kathy. Okay, I saw that. Hey, Phil from Iowa. Welcome in. I haven't seen you before. Or if I have, it was a long time ago. I haven't seen you recently. So I have called the tip line, and I have to thank all of you. Oh, hi, JR. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming in. I did call the FBI tonight again, the second call. First call March 24th, second call today, which is Monday, April the 6th, 2026. It was a much longer call than my last call. It was about 18 or 19 minutes, but the guy actually listened to what I had to say. He actually wrote down the suspect's name. And I said, you know what? I know that this person has gone international, but I'm sure through TSA and Homeland Security, you can, your special agents can find out his most recent travel dates to and from the country. I don't know if this is the guy, but I think this guy is one in the group, and I think he's starting to get very nervous. And that's why he's sending these subsequent ransom demands. I don't necessarily think that this is a copycat. I think most of the ransoms that were asking for the 6 million in Bitcoins, I think those were all complete bullcrap, even though Savannah did say that the FBI believed that there was some credible information in the first and the second ransoms that were sent in. But this is a different person. This is a person who's been, writing in saying time is of the essence. Time is no longer of the essence, indicating that she is deceased. That he had seen her in Mexico. I don't know if the Mexico part is true. And I got to be really, really careful what I say here, because remember, on my channel, and I will shout this from the tallest mountain, I will shout it till I'm blue in the face. Everybody here is innocent until proven guilty. We are dealing as civilians that are just watching this from afar. We're dealing with a 500-piece puzzle, and we only have 5 to 10% of the pieces. So you try to put together a 500-piece jigsaw puzzle, and you only have 25 or 50 pieces, and you're trying to make these pieces fit. It's very, very hard when we don't know all the information. Thank you, Kathy. She's one of my biggest fans, and she's been very supportive of me and this channel and the reporting that I have done. A lot of you guys have shared the videos. You are subscribing. You're hitting the bell icon. You're sending the red hearts on the screen. You're slamming that thumbs up button. Just keep watching the videos. If you're not interested in the other videos or the other playlists, just watch the entire series that I have from February 1st until right this second, and you will see everything that's happened on this case. JR Investigator says, it's interesting that it don't come today. Didn't Savannah? Or did you mean, did Savannah go back to work today? Yes, she did. Yes, I am glad that we had our talk today, because you guys have been pushing me just to make that call. And I thought I would get the same rep, or I would get another rep who's like, hey, if you don't know where the body is, then we're not talking to you. Because I don't even think that person wrote anything down. And I can prove it, and I told the guy, I said, I've called before. I've got the screenshots in my phone of the phone call, the date, the time, the minutes. And this woman would not write anything down. And she was combative. She was yelling. She just, and I was very professional. You just can't react that way, the way this woman reacted. And this guy, he was just totally chill. And he took the time for me to say, he even asked for the spellings of the names that I gave him and why, I think it's that person, because I think that's the person behind the mask. And there's a reason I think that it's the person behind the mask. And I don't necessarily agree with the AI tattoo bullshit. It could be true. It could not be true. I excuse for cursing here. I don't want this to be demonetized. But, somebody needs to get their butts in gear and get this thing done. This is day number 65. For Christ's sakes, today is the day that Savannah returned to her job. Yesterday was the first Easter in her entire life that she had to spend without her mother, being on this planet. And she still doesn't even know where she is. let's see. Yeah, send a resting that another note come today because didn't Savannah go back to? Okay. We read that. Just think of all the other people that have probably called and they never took serious. Maybe that's why this case hasn't been solved. Exactly, JR. You make a very good point, sir. Good investigative instincts, JR. Because I know when you first called them, it was very frustrating. So you can't wonder, maybe they're just not taking this seriously. Exactly. Now, this guy did say that he was in the National Phone Center, whatever he called it, for the FBI. He's not actually the FBI or an employee of the, he's just in a call center. And I figured it was something like that because when you talk to law enforcement, you either get a recording that the call is going to be recorded or that, and you get the beeps every so many seconds because I'm calling from California, which is a two-party consent state. How do I know that? No, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been a PI for 42 years and I've been licensed since 1992. So I know the laws, and with no beeping in the background and no people saying this call is being recorded, they can't record you. And so everything that I said to that first rep back on March 24th, it just was flushed right down the toilet. But I still have the evidence in my phone that I called because God forbid that this guy is involved in the group that I've heard a rumor this weekend that the FBI has changed their course and they're looking into this other group. And I don't know if that was true or if it's just some BS, fake article that's out there. But I was like, now that matches with what I have been saying. But yet I never heard any of this in the news before until after I dropped that dime. But I don't think that woman passed on my information because if she had, I think I would have been contacted by a special agent. So now I have said my piece and I need to go because my blood pressure needs to go down. And remember, I'm not feeling 100% right here right now. That's being taken care of Wednesday. Lori M., welcome in. If they have a suspect in mind, can they follow him and get his DNA off of something he discards to see if it matches the DNA they have from the scene? Well, they could, except the problem with that is this man that I have called in, he is in another country. Let me have a sip. Diet cranberry, people. I didn't know that, Kathy. Missouri is a two-party consent state too. Okay. And it should be. That's why when us as investigators and we go out and we film people, even in public places, if we're smart, we turn off our audio. In the old cameras, back in the day, like in the 80s and the 90s, it was very easy to do that. But most of these video cams that are made, they're not made for PIs, they're made for the general public. And there's, it's very hard to take out the sound. Boston Bill, welcome in. I hope I feel better too. I'm feeling all right, except I need to go get some much needed dental work done. I talked about it in today's earlier video. And I said, if anything breaks or something happens, I will come back on the air. And I did find out more information about that ransom note today that came to TMZ. I found out something that I didn't know in the earlier broadcast that made me go ding, 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 ding. This is all adding up with what I've said. And so it's a possibility. Now, this could just be another crackpot, but there's a possibility that this person that's talking about the 1 Bitcoin or the 1/2 Bitcoin, time is of the essence, time is no longer of the essence. This could actually be a credible person. Now, I think, come forward now. If you're watching this, even from another country and you're involved, I'm telling you from an experienced investigator, if you're the first person that comes forward and says, hey, I have this information, I'm not trying to get a reward, but I want to help you guys with this case. And they find out that you're just a little bit involved and you can name the players because this is definitely a group. Remember, even in the John Benet Ramsey case, the first 2 lines or something, 1 or 2 lines in the ransom note said, we are a group. Now, of course, we don't have access to the ransoms that were sent to TMZ and the radio station or the TV station local to Tucson. We know some of it, but we haven't seen, even Savannah says she has not seen those notes. But these subsequent copycat texts, which That's connected to someone who's connected to someone they know. And he even had Tomato and Annie's, personal cell numbers. I'm not talking about that guy, Derek Kalela or Kalela, Kayea, however you want to say it, English or Spanish. I'm talking about these notes that have been coming for like the past several weeks or a month, where a person who I believe is a man is saying, I saw her, and this is where I saw her, and I know who's involved, and, I have a family, and I'm scared, and I think he said he has a past connection to a burglary, whether it's an actual charge or there's an arrest. I want to help, but I'm scared, but hey, send me some money. Now he's claiming that he's in another country, and then he hasn't been here for an X amount of years. The guy that I called in the tip-in had recently talked to strangers he didn't even know, saying, hey, I even lived there since, there's a lot of people that are possibilities. It doesn't hurt to look into this guy and his whereabouts, and they can easily trace it through his passport. It doesn't hurt to look into this when it's day number 65 and they allegedly have no viable suspects at this time. And even if they got this guy's DNA, I can guarantee you it will not hit in CODIS. I don't think it will. Just saying. They need to check this person out. How could it hurt? I'm sure they have offices in other countries. The Secret Service, they have offices all over the world. There are federal agencies that can do this checking with agencies at other countries without going into too much detail. Sandrone, welcome in. Lori, they need to send some investigators over to the country to follow the guy and get his DNA. It might be a little hard if they don't have an address, but I have a country and a city. But, he could be on the move. And when I think about Nancy, I think about all the missing people that never get the news coverage and they never find them. We've got a lot of cases that haven't been solved. Absolutely. But they can't put every single case in the news because this happens way too much. But something like this is pretty rare. I mean, how often do you hear of a kidnapping of an 84-year-old woman? Whether she's connected to somebody famous or not, this is not typical. But remember, she is the mother of a famous person who has money, who has a bullseye on her back, as does every member of her family. And there are people that are local to Tucson, whether they live there or they just work there, that are aware that she lives there and where she lives and who she's related to. TMZ has always thought some of the notes have been credible, and I know TMZ said they thought that Nancy was in a 50-mile radius. Yes, I remember that. Now, I'm not saying that I know where the body is. No, and I'm not even saying that this guy is the guy, but I felt so almost sick to my stomach about my, go with your gut instinct. This is what I do. This is why I was put on this earth, to be a detective. And if I'm wrong and it's not viable and it's not connected, then we rule that person out, because that's how we solve crimes in my business. When you don't know who everybody is, you have a set of players, and then you start narrowing down the list through process of elimination. You gather intel, but you've got to eliminate the people that are not involved. You've got to narrow the list down. This is just, this is Detective School 101, people. Kathy says, if someone got scared, they may pull some stinky stuff to get protection. I bet is the first person to snitch will get the best prize. Absolutely. Oh. I think he did. I think he put it into the system. But he did emphasize, that I'm just at the call center. But he did take the information, and because he asked me for the spelling and why I think it's him. We're not talking about politics here. That's not what this is about. This is a true crime video on the investigation relating to the Nancy Guthrie case. If the CIA can fund people, they should be able to find Nancy. Well, the CIA, they handle more international intelligence. But yeah, the CIA, that would be a good person to go to, but they're not going to be investigating a kidnapping in the United States. No politics at all, or we're going to have to take you out. Look at that military guy that went missing over there in Iran, and the CIA found him. They knew exactly where the guy was. Absolutely. That's what they do. Everything is overseas with the CIA. I formerly worked with someone who had been a prior member of the CIA. And he never talked about it, but, because of things that came up, I knew. I know how it works. I also know I had a neighbor that worked at their headquarters in D.C., so their headquarters is in Virginia. Remember, I am an old person. And with God willing, I make it to Sunday, I'll be a year older. This is what I have done for my career. Now, if this guy's not the guy in the mask and he's not involved in this at all, then we'll rule it out. But every angle that I look at keeps coming back to this guy being involved for many reasons. You are scared that I called? Why are you scared? Remember that program called America's Most Wanted? Yes, I think we should bring that back because I got to tell you a story about that. Okay, we talked about that actually. If you see my video on Adam Walsh, we talked about that. Yeah, those shows are great. Unsolved Mysteries, America's Most Wanted, because those shows do catch criminals. And they give visibility to cases that are not as famous as this case, because there are so many people that their cases never get heard. There was a man that was wanted for a long time, and somebody saw him on America's Most Wanted, and the guy was going to a senior club, and the guy recognized him and turned him in. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, I watch that show all the time, too. I especially liked Unsolved Mysteries. Robert Stack, he was a great host. And they had that eerie, creepy music that went with it. And, back then there was only like the top 3 networks. And so, I know they've had like streaming sequels, but, back there when you just had the top 3 networks and you had millions and millions of people watching popular shows like that. So a lot of people had access to seeing that show. A lot of people. That show was great. I've seen some of the sequels that have come out like on Netflix and stuff, and it wasn't very good, but the original was fantastic. And look how many people, John Walsh's show, I forget, Adam's father, there was a lot of people that were arrested over the years that were located, that were, suspects in major crimes. So shows like that are wonderful. Lori says, I loved America's Most Wanted. I was in high school, and I always made sure I was home on Saturday nights to watch it. I don't even remember what night it was on, truthfully. And with my work, I worked a lot of hours. I worked more than full-time hours through most of my detective career until the health went bad. Thank you, Jamie James. Welcome back. I know you were here earlier today. I wasn't planning on coming back on. I really need to watch this game. And as soon as it got ready to start, I had somebody send me an email about something that I had to take care of. And then I missed the first 2 runs. And then I was sitting here watching, and I was going through. I wanted to look up that information about the new ransom that came in today. I wanted to follow up on it, and I saw a source. It was actually somebody that I know, and I was like, oh, there's more information about this. And I was like, see, it does match up with what I have been thinking. And I'll even give you a date. In my mind, I had this person as one of the players as of February the 13th. And no, it wasn't any of those people that were detained that evening. This person was not detained on the evening of February 13th. But that's when I started to put the pieces together. And I even sent a text to someone that said, I think I know who's involved in this. Now, I could be totally wrong because I'm not investigating the case. But it's, how long is it going to take just for, somebody even in an international office to check a few things out? Because of 9/11, the airports, the airlines, our government, they keep track of everything. Everybody's watching you all the time. It's very easy to find out when you left the country, when you returned to the country, where you traveled to. They have watch lists on people. They have, then there's just not the commercial airlines, but there's the private planes. But you can't just get on a private plane and just fly anywhere you want. Like there still has to be customs and check-ins and records, and they can trace all of this, is what I'm trying to say. But somebody has to make the effort. Kathy says, I love that one too. I should have gone into that. I really think I would have done a good job. I have good intuition on people. I must have missed something. But you do have good intuition. The good JR says, so do you think it's just one person or more than one? Definitely more than one. Definitely more than one. Oh, let me stop for a second. Remember, Mama Bear needs the dentist. So thank you so much. The good news is that just in the last 5 days or 6 days of March, combined with the first 4 days in April, because I haven't got the totals yet on the 5th, I will have enough accumulated in the account. It's not very much. It's still a sad amount, but I have enough, even if not a penny more came in, that I will see a royalties check on May 21st. I know that's like 6 weeks away. Like, oh my God. So thank you. Let me get back to the comments. Great show, Jamie James. Thank you. Lori says it was on after Cops in the late 90s. Oh, you mean America's Most Wanted? I remember Cops too. That was pretty funny. It's definitely more than one person, JR. There's no way that someone could have taken a 150-pound, 84-year-old woman who could barely walk out of that house by themselves. I have a friend from high school who went missing in Arizona since 2014, and she has never been found. Her name was Carrie McDermott. Oh, wow. That's 12 years. A lot of times when it's younger adults, they're not necessarily deceased. A lot of them are out there. And it could also be somebody walked away, too. Jamie James says, it's Savannah's first day back at work. I'm not surprised. Those shows cost a lot of money to make, and there's so much competition out there with cable, satellite, rather than the 3 channels. Oh, yeah. But it's also easier to get a show picked up because instead of just having the 3 networks and everybody trying to get into the top 3, and now there's 4 because they added Fox, you've got cable, you've got streaming, you've got Netflix, you have Apple. There's a lot more opportunity. And the one that they played on Netflix that was like a sequel, it wasn't very good, but they probably just didn't have the budget that, a big network would have had at that time. Yes, it's interesting. The same day that Savannah goes back to work, there's another non-interesting, or no interesting. Yeah, no interesting. Haven't had one for a long time. True. The good JR says, well, maybe we should get the bounty hunter involved. You remember him? Oh, yeah, that's our friend Bill. Oh, we should get Dog. Oh, I thought you meant our bounty hunter friend that comes into this live. We should get Dog the bounty hunter involved. Yeah, but he gets involved when he knows that they're looking for a particular suspect and there's a warrant. First, we have to have a suspect. I've heard this, JR. Yeah, do you know that in Arizona there is a lot of people missing and have been kidnapped, and it's really surprising. I've heard that since this Nancy Guthrie case, and I've also heard, I didn't know this, but it doesn't surprise me, that Tucson is a very high crime area, including kidnappings. Oh, who's out of business, Dog? Monica Nuff. I suppose I better subscribe to your channel soon because you'll be all famous. Yeah. Probably not, but yeah, please subscribe, Monica. I appreciate that. It helps. I haven't heard that Dog has passed. Has he passed? I haven't heard that. Maybe he's not doing well? I know his wife Beth died, but he got remarried. You know what? You're not going to believe this, William. This is a very important comment. Hello from the submarine capital of the world, Groton, Connecticut. Guess where I was born, William? I was born in Rhode Island. And guess where my dad worked, William? You want to venture a guess? Or a guess? Can I talk tonight? Throw it out there. Where do you think my dad worked? I'll give you a clue. It was Groton, Connecticut. Thank you for the challenge, Kathy. I'll tell you, William. My dad worked at Electric Boat, a division of, at the time, General Dynamics. He worked on submarines, Mr. Paddock. And then we went from submarines to warships. So that's how my family put food on the table. My dad was a defense contractor and worked at Electric Boat on the submarine program in Groton, Connecticut. And that's how, at the tender age of 1, I ended up in California. Because of that submarine project, we were stationed at Menzie in the San Francisco Bay Area. Absolutely. That's amazing. Electric Boat. Yeah, they used to call it EB. And most of the kids that I grew up with and the families I grew up with, they all started there. Now, these families were from different places, but they all kind of worked together, and some of them knew each other and some of them didn't until we got to the job site out in San Francisco. There was even an older couple that was like grandparents to us that were from Italy. And when they migrated or immigrated from Italy, they lived in New Jersey, and they were the immediate next door neighbors to the Travoltas. And their children grew up with the Travoltas. And I remember when we had since moved from Connecticut to San Francisco to Los Angeles to the Gulf Coast, we were actually at these people's houses having our Sunday Italian dinner that they would cook for us every Sunday. They were like Italian grandparents. And there was a commercial that came on for a new show called Welcome Back Kotter. And the guy was like, "Hey, little Johnny." my son Pepe used to play with him, like those were their neighbors. And then they were, we knew them in Connecticut, California, Mobile. And he was so starstruck by that, oh, there's little Johnny Travolta. But yeah, it all started at Electric Boat. So that's amazing, William. So you're from Groton. Your dad was a chief petty officer. Yeah, my dad wasn't actually in the Navy, but he was a defense contractor for the Navy and also the Royal Canadian Navy towards the end of his career. But most of my friends, their dads were in the Navy, and my dad's best friend was in the Navy. My uncle was in the Navy, but I grew up all around Navy people, and it all started at EB on the submarine program. So yeah, I'm that old. Your father retired to Las Vegas. Jamie James She works so hard for us, and this isn't her first live today. I know, my voice is already starting to go. What does this goal say down here? Oh, it says 2 for 10. Let me scroll through the chat. We had Kathy. Thank you, Kathy. And Kellyanne. Thank you. Let me just, I got a thumbs up. I'm a little behind. Because sometimes I just get, talking, get hyped up here, So, let's see. The good JR says, very interesting about Connecticut, They tape a lot of shows there. It's pretty cheap, and it's also the home of ESPN. Yes, it is. I didn't know a lot of shows were taped there. But I did know that ESPN is located there. That's where Christopher Reeve's son, Will Reeves, started his career. Phoenix, Central City, and where we live are some younger people. Was that one of the yellow submarines? You know what? I don't know. Well, way back, my grandfather retired to Birmingham. Rhode Island, that's my birth state. That's the ocean state. But no, I don't know what it's famous for. It's my first live today. Oh, this is my second. I had to come back on when I heard this additional information, and then I was like, okay, I can't take it anymore. My head's going to explode. I have to call the FBI, and I'm going to keep calling until I get a rep who will actually listen to me. And I could be totally wrong. It might not be viable, but there's so many coincidences. And when you work in the PI business, as long as I have, you learn that not just in investigations, but in life, there basically are no coincidences, that everything ties together for a reason. Everybody you meet for a reason. Sometimes you're going to know people your entire life. Sometimes you're only going to know them for a small part of your life. But there is a reason that they came into your life. There's a reason that they exit, or you exit, or you know them until the day you die. I know my friends forever. There's a reason that you guys are coming to my YouTube channel. I have a very hard time believing in coincidences. I'm looking up at the TV every now and then at the Dodger game, and I've totally lost track of this game. Let's see. William says, I grew up on the sub base when dependents could go anywhere on post. I had the run of the lower base in any submarine I wanted. You know what? I was just a baby, but my cousin, who has come into this chat many times, she said she actually got a tour of the base with my dad, and I was like, that she got to go on a submarine. And I was like, was I there? And she said, no, your parents left you with a babysitter. I was like, what? I don't think we had any babysitters. They must have known somebody. But yeah, I was always with my parents because at that time I was still an only child. But I did go on the base at Minzy, which was Mare Island Naval Shipyard. I've been on the base a couple of times at Minzy. I don't think I was on a sub, though, there. My birthday, Jamie, is this Sunday. And I did speak to the mother of my Thai family, and she doesn't know yet if they're coming here for my birthday or not. They've had a new baby. The daughter just went back to work. The father of the new baby, he works like either swing shifts or graveyard shifts, and they're having to switch off now because of the baby and the mother returning to work. And my Thai sponsor son, who is like my own son, even though he's not my bio son, Sunday is his biggest day at work. So I don't know with, the baby and, the different work schedules, if Sunday's going to work out for all of us. But it's okay. We've been like family for over 20 years. I'm sure I'll hear from them, but I don't know. Oh, she's moving my camera. Hi, everybody. My name is Kelsa, and I'm starving right now. Even though I have food, I need fresh, wet food. So Mama may have to get off and feed her or just take a break for a second. Lori, yes, there's really a lot of coincidences, including the names on the list. The FBI showed the gun shop stores. I have not seen that list, but I sure would like to. And the lady whose last name is on the list used Nancy's address at one point. Well, she did have, now I've got cat hair in my mouth. She did have a guest house that she had been renting, but I heard that she hadn't rented it for quite some years. Kathy says, that's the comment of the day. April, I am just trying to make you a millionaire. I know, 13-1. And that Max Scherzer, he went down after the second inning, and he was briefly a Dodger. And even though he has been one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he plays for Toronto, I hate that guy. I absolutely can't stand him. He is bad for baseball. He really screwed the Dodgers when he was pitching for us, and got upset during playoffs that he was used one inning in a playoff. And then he said, my arm is dead and I cannot play anymore for you. And that was it. And that guy was such a creep and such a crazy that, you know how in baseball, the guys, they kind of pat each other on the rear. And his manager, Dave Roberts, gave him a pat, like, hey, good job. And he screamed on national television, don't effing touch me. What a maniac. And so I wasn't too sad. I feel sad for the Blue Jays because I like the Blue Jays, but I wasn't too upset to see that he went down in the second inning. And they didn't say that he had an injury, so I don't know if he was sick or, he felt a pain because he's such a baby. Ugh. Baseball, I get very emotional about. Yep, Action News 8 put a stop to the security issues by walking up to a submarine from the railroad tracks in the early 80s. Hey, my mods? Is any of my mods still in here? Are my mods still here? I need someone to watch the chat for one moment so I can go get the can of wet cat food. I'm sorry. There we go. There we go, honey. There we go. It's right here. Yeah, and I know I still have a hot mic, but it's not like I was going to the bathroom. I'll have to put that away later. Yeah, she only gets a half a can at a time. What a score. I know. Well, they lost their pitcher. But I really wanted to see, this is the first game that Hae-Sung Kim is in, and that's why I really wanted to watch this, because he really got screwed over by the Dodgers opening day. And now he's getting a chance since Mookie went down. And they wouldn't let him play when he came up yesterday, so. Who got the note today? That was TMZ. TMZ, Harvey Levin reported it. I have never been to Arizona, but it must be a huge place. All this crime can happen. Well, it's also very close to the border, which could be a reason for some of the crime. JR, they went around the moon, and for about 45 minutes they lost the signal, but then it came back. They'll be coming back down in San Diego. Yeah, I think that's the day before my birthday. They're supposed to come back. You had to make me laugh. Thank you. I needed it because I was a little like, ooh. Yeah, that's Kelsa. She's eating her wet food right now. Monica says, meow. No, she's having a chicken and gravy. The sister was the caregiver. Savannah's sister was the caregiver, yes. Yes, but this could have some credibility to it, Jamie. Do you know that the people that are the caregivers, they make a lot of money? I don't know if she was being paid anything, being her daughter. Who is hiding? Not a reputable company to be sending ransom notes. Exactly. But there's a few things that make me think now that this person this is not the original ransom writer. These are some of the subsequent notes regarding location, and there may be some credibility to it. Time will tell. My cats prefer dry, but they drink a lot of water from the cat fountain. That's good as long as they're drinking. Yeah, my cat, she has a little dry and a little bit of wet. And she's not a big eater because I'm used to having mixed Maine Coons that are the size of mountain lions. So, oh, somebody did something when I was gone? Oh, okay. Oh, I thought I missed something, like a super chat or a gift. Oh yeah, that baseball player you got talking about, he got really mad. He said some crazy thing. Oh, he's completely insane, that guy. He's the guy that's got the two different color eyes. For real, he's got two different completely different color eyes. And he's been a great pitcher, but there's something wrong with that guy, and that was a disaster when he pitched for the Dodgers. I hate him, and I'm glad that I'm sorry that Toronto lost. I'm happy the Dodgers lost, but if they both could win, that would be great. But Max Scherzer, you don't deserve it. Do I think Nancy Guthrie is alive? Says William. No, I don't. Because of her age and because of her health conditions and the fact that they didn't take her meds. So, see, these knuckleheads that planned this didn't plan it very well, did they? There's no way they could have kept her alive without her meds. I'm not so sure, but this guy that's writing these ransoms said he saw her in Mexico, and there was a plane that left Tucson at 4:15 a.m. that morning, a private plane that went to Mexico. No one's ever really been able to say, confirm who that plane was registered to or who left. It's kind of an odd time to leave on a private jet at 4:15 a.m. But there's other. I just have to be so careful what I say here because remember, everybody on my channel is innocent until proven guilty. And to date, I have not released the name. I've not even mentioned the name of the person that I believe who may be international, who has connections to Tucson, who may be involved in this. TMZ is a company with 25% accuracy. Yeah, I know, but these notes, I don't think they're making this up about the notes and what they say and when they receive them. She might have been dead before they took her. I thought so too, Monica, but then no, because when the pacemaker unsynced from her devices, and which they can read also at her doctor's office, her heart was still beating at that time. Oh, thank you, Jamie. I understand why you wouldn't say the name. Yeah, I can say that everybody's innocent until proven guilty, but I'm not going to come on my channel and say, this guy did it or this guy's involved. And he's connected to several other people that are involved. But this guy needs to roll over on the other so that he doesn't spend his entire life behind bars. Unless they were able to gain access to her meds, exactly, but I don't think that they did. Because even the person that now they're saying those most recent notes regarding the 1 Bitcoin or the half Bitcoin may be somewhat credible. They said time is of the essence, and then very quickly afterwards they actually volunteered information that they didn't need to volunteer, that time is no longer of the essence. I mean, there could be a miracle in this case that she's alive, but I just highly doubt that. And I think at this point, it's just a matter of arresting the people who are involved in and finding the remains and laying her to rest and celebrating her life. It was definitely not a robbery. Absolutely not. No burglary, no robbery. Absolutely not. Oh, welcome in, Knox. Well, yeah, Kathy, he did confess, but he, when he got down to Bay County, he claimed innocence in a court of law. I have no idea who, but lots of guessing in my head. As far as we know, Jamie, that is true. Nothing was taken at all except Nancy. And people were surveilling that place long before this happened. This was a planned operation. Now, I don't, well, will the FBI do anything with my tip? Probably not. I don't have a whole lot of faith in the FBI, to tell you the truth, just based on my past experience with them. But I have done some PI work with some, I've actually worked for some former FBI agents and with former FBI agents, and they were good people. I think that's what Savannah wants, so she can have closure. Absolutely. The family knows everything in those notes that we don't know, and that the second video that they did, it's kind of sounded like she wasn't alive and they just wanted her to be brought home for closure. Now, Savannah says she has never seen any of the actual ransom demand notes. I'm sure she knows what's in them, but she has not seen them. Oh, yeah, there was a white van that was spotted. Now, there's a lot of white vehicles in warm weather cities. But yeah, there was a suspicious van that they've never been able to identify. And I think that's all that Savannah wants. She just wants her mother brought home for closure because I think they know what's in those notes. Yeah, I think they do too, and everything they've said publicly. Well, except for the Easter speech, that was Savannah. That came from Savannah's heart. But the lives or recorded lives that she did with her family and talking about the case, that was all scripted. Hello, Herschel. Welcome in. I don't think this is helping other situations in her life. She is having issues with herself. Yes. And we mentioned in yesterday's show that there's a rumor, and it's only a rumor, cannot be confirmed, that her marriage may have been on the rocks for even months before this happened. Exactly. The good JR says most of the 48-hour shows that I watch, they always say everybody's a suspect until the case is closed. And I think that's how it should be. Absolutely. Remember, everybody is innocent. Just because they arrest somebody, we're not going to call them guilty. It has to be proven in a court of law. Oh, understand, Kathy, regarding her faith, regarding Savannah's faith. Yeah. Well, I understand that. I've been there before. Remember all those people they stopped in their car? They went to their house number. All that was kind of interesting. Yeah, and they completely a lot of those people went right up to the front door, compromised and what should have been an active, secured crime scene. That's inexcusable. Okay, you are a PI. Say you start a case today. How would you start an investigation? The first few days, especially like a surveillance, would be intel gathering. Let's get our intel. Let's get our list. And let's start narrowing down our net. Now, if it's a homicide investigation, you throw the net very tightly around the most probable suspects: family, friends, neighbors, coworkers. And then once those people are excluded, then you widen the net in a case like that. But if I'm surveilling a case and we have a list of suspects, you start doing it by process of elimination and gathering intel. And then things like license plates and LPRs and databases. But usually when there's coincidences out there, they turn out not to be coincidences. And there's too many coincidences in this person who I have reported not once but twice to the FBI tip line. Who got the note today? That was TMZ. What did it say? It said that they know where the body is and they know who's involved and they want a half Bitcoin. This is the same person who said he had wanted 1 Bitcoin and that time was of the essence. And then a subsequent note said time was no longer of the essence. And then TMZ said, we're not going to deal with this person anymore. And today, some of the things that were said talked about that they actually know where the body is. She's no longer with us. Because they can tell us anything is guided. This is a strange story. Yeah, these ransom notes have nothing to do with the ransom notes where they were demanding the 6 million in Bitcoin. This is a separate set of notes. Well, they've been getting quite a few. I don't know if they're the only ones. But I don't think TMZ is just making this up and, writing a script and, pretending. What happened to right and wrong in this country? I know. Good versus evil. I've spent a career, making a living. I'll never be a millionaire, but I've made a living because of all the messed up people in this world. Well, I've gone way too long. I just wanted to come on for like 5 or 10 minutes and tell you guys, like, hey, this is what I think. I'm surprised we haven't seen Serap, our new friend from Tel Aviv. But he came into the earlier show. What time is it in Tel Aviv, Israel? They will probably find him unalived. Who? The person that's writing these most recent ransoms? That could happen, but I think this person is safely away in another country. Hey, Trisha. Yeah, I was on earlier, as you know, and then I came back on just because I had to talk about tonight's phone call, or late this afternoon's phone call to the FBI. Hey, my bunny is awake. Let me grab her treat. She needs a little half a banana treat. It's little dried pieces. She's getting just a little teeny bit. But here you go. Come here, Amelia. It's over here. Right here. Here. Go get it. You don't want to take it out of my hand? Why are you suspicious? There's nobody here. It's just us. It's right here, Amelia. Come here. Here. I don't know why she's being difficult. She wants it, but then she was like, I won't take it out of your hand right now. And then the cat she's super jealous. And she's like, I'm going to come out and I'm going to harass you so you don't get that treat. It is 4:48 a.m. on Tuesday in Israel. Oh, he's probably in bed. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, we had a lot of people come in. And there was 2 more super chats. And for those of you who missed the first one, and I won't go into it too much detail here, but Mama Bear needs the dentist on Wednesday. And probably for more than one appointment. And that's going to sting. JR says Nancy was to go over to that lady's house to watch church online, Savannah's Church in New York. True. She did not make it. True. She was to be there at 9 o'clock. That lady called the sister. Yes, she did. But we don't have the accurate timeline because Nanos has given out at least 2 different timelines as to when that lady called the sister, as to when the sister and Tomato drove over in Annie's car to Nancy's place. And then there may or may not have been a significant amount of time before 911 was called, and there was definitely a significant amount of time, but we don't know the exact times, that she decided to call her sister and say, hey, Mom is missing. There's a lot of suspicions. But if the family were to be found to be involved in this, I don't think they would have done it themselves. I think they would have, if they were to be involved, I think they would have hired people. So whoever hired whoever's involved, whoever hired, things went wrong, and nobody got any ransom out of this. And now they know that they're being investigated. It was right here. Do you see it? Oh my gosh. This bunny is the most spoiled rabbit that I have ever owned, and she is the most difficult. But she was rabbit 8, and she was going to die in the shelter that day or the next day if I didn't get her. Come here. Here it is. Take it. I just can't anymore, Amelia. Just pick it up. It's right there. You would have thought she's gone blind today. She's so excited. Like, where is it? It's right there. Oh, Kathy, $2 challenge at Trisha. We need 8 more. Yeah, I did. Did I say it in this video or the last one? I'm getting confused now because I've been on twice today that because of the last 5 or 6 days of March was monetized. And then I've seen the totals for the first 4 days in April. I have not seen yesterday's totals come through yet on the back end of YouTube, but I know that from the 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, and 31st, because the first day was at almost, a few hours before midnight. So that doesn't really count. But for the last 6 days in March and for the first 4 days in April, that's 10 days worth, I have approximate totals. And I will have enough to get my first royalties check since I got remonetized, and it should come electronically May 21st. And let me tell you, I don't want time to pass quickly because at my age, time is important. I don't want time to just go, but I know before I know it, it'll be like, and it'll be May 21st. And God, I hope we're all still here. And then I can come on and say, I got my first payment. No, don't bite my cords. Oh boy, the new ring lamp has got a long cord. No, 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 no. We don't want to touch that. She could bite this cord 4 or 5 times in 2 seconds or less. And she's very non-destructive for a bunny, but the spicy hay, that's her only con to having her. Hey, Sarap, we were just talking about you, sir. Kathy says she is ignoring me. Yeah, Mama needs to see the dentist. Whoops, I just hit the wrong button. We just saw that it was like 4 something in the morning Tuesday in Tel Aviv. What time is it, Sarap? Let us know. Thank you so much, sir. Do you ever sleep? Do you work the night shift in Israel? 6 more. My total says 5 more. But yeah, I could take 6. Jay. One of my biggest fans. Thank you so much. I wish I could slip into your shoes, Jay, for the month of May, because if I were you, I would go see Indy. I've never been. Almost 5 a.m. in Tel Aviv. So it'll be Tuesday, April the 7th. That's amazing. Yeah, it makes me sad to think that all these donations are going to maybe have to start paying off a big dental bill. Oh, and somebody sent jewels earlier, too. I know I acknowledged them, but who was it? They don't give me the names on that on the back end. And the chats, they don't repost right away. The videos repost almost immediately. And if you are watching on a replay, like one that we're watching right now that I'm filming live, give it at least 5 minutes because I have to go into the back end and reaffirm the monetization so that the replays actually count. And it's a pain in the butt. I never knew that until I started again, like with these lives, like, what? I need to go into the back end now? Wonder if I'm doing a live and I'm out in the field and I don't have access to a computer, like, because they turned the button off. Like, why do they turn it's on now? But then I have to go in and I have to testify that it doesn't include this bad thing and this bad thing and this bad thing. I have to give it a rating and I have to switch it back on again as soon as I close out of this. We can always set a date, have 2 guest rooms. Oh, wow. Yeah, if I didn't have all these commitments here with the animals and the doctor's appointments, it seems like I never get a break. That would be great. Thank you for the invitation. I've never seen a race like that in my life, an IndyCar race. Thank you. Thank you, Dark Horse. Welcome in. Are you just coming in or did I miss you earlier? Oh, we're up to 8? Oh my God. Where are you coming in from, Dark Horse? Forget the astronauts are coming back. They talked about him again today. They talked about who? They went around the moon. Yeah, they were going to go to the dark side of the moon. And remember, if you believe in these theories, the dark side of the moon is where the Luna base is located. Oh, Louisiana. I believe it was one of the Kellys. Oh, okay. You mean earlier in today's chat? Yes, in the first live. Yeah, I wasn't planning on coming back. I very rarely do 2 in a day, but I just had to get it off my conscience, and I had to call the FBI for the second time to do the tip again, and it went a lot better than it went the first time. Not that it's going to get anywhere, but yeah. And I wanted to thank you guys, my audience, because you guys kind of urged me to call again. Several people have been saying in my chat, you should call again. And thank you, whoever said that, all the people that have urged me to call again, I appreciate you. Because if this does get solved in the future, we're going to throw an effing parade that, hey, April Davis called this in. I thought I had it figured out by February 13th, but I didn't really. The first time I didn't call the FBI until March 24th, and I should have done it sooner. But it may not be viable because once again, it's a 500-piece puzzle, and we, the public, only have a few of the pieces. Yeah, I feel better about it now. I can get that off my conscience, and whatever happens, happens. 222 more. Thank you, Kathy. She's one of my biggest supporters as well. Yeah, you can always send the jewels if they don't cost you anything because you don't necessarily have to buy those. I think depending on how many hours you watch or whatever, YouTube gives you so many for free, like in a month or a week. Same thing with the hypes. They throw those out there. Yeah, I still need people to be watching the long form content. Oh, Annie. What did it just flash so quick? It didn't show me how many, but thank you. Sent clock it, okay? It didn't even show me how much. It just like I got a total at the top that says 290. Who's not talking to Kathy today? Oh, she sent it for 80 jewels. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Okay. There it is again. Thank you so much. Annie, I see the sun. It doesn't say how much. It just says Annie Rain 7611 cent sunshine. That's all it says at the bottom. And then it just adds to the total on the top. Oh, JR also sent it? Here we go. Didn't see that. It flashes real quick, and then it's just gone. Let me go. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, Annie sent clock it, and I gave credit to the wrong person. The second clock. Let me just make sure. I'm sorry. Thank you for catching that. So it was Annie, and then I thought it was. Okay, I did not see the JR clock. And then Annie sent the sunshine. So I thought Annie had sent all 3. So she sent the 2 of the jewel icons, and JR, the good JR investigator, sent clock it. Thank you, JR. Yeah, that's all it says on my end too. 1 clock from Annie for 80, JR for 80, and then Annie again. Annie for 200. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Annie and JR. And because that shouldn't cost you guys anything. Unless you choose to buy the jewels, that shouldn't cost anything. And I think I need like 100 jewels just for $1. So, and I don't know how much they take out of that. I understand more how the super chats and the super thanks work. And I've been getting a lot of the super chats in the actual lives, But like when you guys are watching this on the replay or you're watching the long form content on the replay, people are not like, I'm not seeing the super thanks being hit, but they kind of hide that button. So a lot of people probably don't even see it. And I found out that the CPM and RPM on the live content videos are worth a lot more per thousand than the live. The live is very small. It's like $1.78 or something per 1,000. Thank you, Kathy. Wow, we're up to 9. That's crazy. I was shocked because I thought my CPM would be around $4 to $5, but it's still too early to tell. It's up to 5 something, but that's only on the long form content, and I'm just not getting the views. And that's the only way to make it on YouTube is you've got to have, besides these occasional lives, you've got to have people watching your long form content. That's where your views have got to come in because that's where the money is in the AdSense. And that doesn't cost you guys a dime because you're just watching. So I think if we can get the subscriber count up, I never thought I'd hit 1,000, never thought I'd hit 2K, but now it actually has me thinking like, well, gosh, I never thought I'd hit 1K or 2K. Maybe I could hit 3K. Maybe I could. And if I could, then it'll just keep building. And I think we have to keep building here in order to get the view count up on the long form content videos or even just the replays on some of these lives that are in the playlist. Oh, thank you, Annie. Thank you for subbing. You just showed up. Oh, I just showed up on your feed. That happened with my cousin Brenda. Did I check out Social Blade? No, what is that? That's how my cousin Brenda found me. I thought her brother Randy had sent her, and she was like, no, you just popped up in my feed. And there's like 115 million active YouTubers or more. Somewhere between 115 to 116 million active accounts. And I just she just happened to turn on our YouTube late at night, and there I was, and she couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, how did this even happen? Oh, Social Blade shows you the channel health. Oh, okay. Thank you. I'll check that out. Did you find your treat? Bunny? Here. Did you find it? Let me give you this. Hold on. Come here. This is called her oat groats. She gets like a little smidge. I call it her bunny crack. She loses her stuff over these. It's the only time that you can touch her a lot. And after she has that, you can pick her up. Whoa! Oh my God! I think that's the biggest super chat I've ever got. I think it is. Sorry, I'm shaking the camera. I'm trying to touch it on the, I should be probably doing that on the iPad, so I'm not shaking the camera back and forth. Sorry if that guy's made you dizzy. There's another one. Wow. Bunny's pretending she doesn't see the treats. That way later she will have 50. That's true. She's smart. This bunny is smarter than my cat, if that's even believable. But she is super smart. I found out I have a channel on YouTube. You have a channel, Kathy? You had one too, Jamie? Okay, somebody just said something, and thank you, Trisha. Thank you so much for my mod. Thank you so much. And I have narrowed down the mod list. I had to because things were going out of control. That is, well, I did have the 69.90 in Israeli shekels from Serap. Let's not forget Serap. He has set the record for sending the most super chats. But apparently there's the currency versus the American currency. So I'd have to look to see how much it was. It might have actually topped what was just said. I'd have to look that up because I know it's usually like in increments. They could be anywhere from like 60 cents to $2.20 and I had a Great Britain one the other night too. So far, I've only received super chats from 2 different countries besides the United States. And I recognized the symbol for the Great British Pounds, but I did not recognize the symbol for the Israeli new shekels or shekels. Yeah, JR says wonderful. Absolutely. Woohoo! Goal met. Absolutely. Wow, this is amazing. Oh, JR. Thank you, sweetie. You don't forget her birthday's coming up this week, and happy birthday the whole month. The whole month is her birthday. Absolutely. And I usually do see the dentist during my birthday month. That's just how I remember it. But with everything else that's happened with the cancer in my heart and my kidneys, the dentist has been put on the back burner. So sadly, I think it's going to take more than one appointment. Hopefully I don't need a root canal. Oh my God, I've only ever had one, but I definitely have a problem over here. Hopefully it'll hang on until Wednesday, and then I'm going to need a cleaning, and I need to address a surgery that I had that was an emergency procedure that happened during chemo, and that's caused my mouth to be a little lopsided. So I have a feeling that I'm going to have quite a few dental appointments coming up. In my immediate future, but I need to take it. I need to take care of it because your dental health is so important, especially to your cardiac health. And with all the heart things that I've had, and I'm going to have to give them a list of all the new medications I'm on. I can't let it go. And for anybody that's been complaining about my teeth on here, uh, he'll get them as wide as he can without, damaging my enamel. But I'm not going for a cosmetic procedure. I'm going for 3 separate things that need to be handled. And I'm sure they've only scheduled me for an hour. So, I'm sure it's going to require commuting back and forth. And I just hate doctor's appointments. I don't dislike him as a dentist, but I just, who wants to sit in a dental chair? It's just not my favorite thing to do. Yeah, we all have a YouTube channel. That's how we're on here. There's so many of them. You can't believe how many there are. Yeah, all you guys have an active Google username, but some of you actually have uh, channels that have videos on them. You can have technically anybody can have a YouTube Google username, but if you post videos, then yeah, you have a channel. You gave me 25 on Friday. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that chat that I got earlier, that 1999, was probably the largest that I got in one chat, like one super, unless the first one that was sent by Sarap might have topped that just a little bit. But yeah, this is what it's all about, and I've never done this for the money. I did this channel originally to document my life after cancer, and people were like, "Oh, you're never going to make it because you don't have a niche." And then, I decided I better start talking about stuff that I know. Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. Am I getting rich? No. uh, oh, you have a wide genre of music on yours? Oh, his was 2220. Oh, thank you for letting me know, Trisha. You have 1 subscriber. Do you have videos posted? Jamie James, this show seems interesting and I'm just starting it. It's called Memory of a Killer, Patrick Dempsey. Oh, wow. He did a sort of like a drama, but it was a little bit on the horror side too. Years ago when he was just a young kid, and it was some gal, gosh, Kate Vernon was her name, I think. And Margot Kidder played the mom, and she used to be one of my favorites back in her heyday, and it's really creepy. I was like, I don't know if it was just like topics we wouldn't be able to discuss on here, but he was a really good actor even when he was a kid. Remember, the other case talked about is a crazy one that Joseph Duggar. Oh, you mean Kendra and Joseph? Oh, the other case I talked about. Yeah, we've mentioned him a few times in some of these subsequent videos. I've been reading up on the Joseph Duggar. They claim that's a real horrible case. Absolutely. Yeah, I've learned more stuff about before they built that house, the Duggars, that they lived in that little shack, I guess, that Josh and Anna first lived in when they were married, and there wasn't even enough bedrooms, and that the father had to sleep in the room with the boys, and Michelle had to sleep in the recliner, like in the family room or whatever. And I gotta wonder what's happened to those boys. Oh, you did 2 10s and a 5? Well, thank you, Kathy. Yeah, it is creepy, isn't it, Jamie? Yeah, everybody, even the small donations, they mean the world to me. Even these little jewels that I still don't 100% under. Hey, kitty, kitty. Hey, hey, hey. You didn't even eat your kitty food very much. I just saw my bunny running because somebody was going to harass her. And she bought a membership. Yes, she did. And she gifted a membership to someone as well. Mm. They show up on your end. Yeah, I just see like it. They're like the icon flashes really quick, and it says you were gifted by, but it doesn't show how much. Yeah, right now I just have the one. Hey, 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 hey. And she, just like the bunny, she's not one to be held. I have two animals that don't like being held, except she loves to be cuddled so she can suckle my arm while I'm sleeping. I will share my story that I didn't share earlier. The husband and I were professional painters and always had two jobs running at the same time. Yeah, and in today's world, you almost have to have multiple sources of income. I'd have to make thousands on this channel just to pay myself back for the first 5 years and 4 months of this. Well, I could use some professional painters. Wish you guys were in Los Angeles. Did you guys have your own business? In 2014, our son died in service. Oh no! Because it was military related, it took over a month to be able to make arrangements for. Oh, I'm sorry, Tricia. What service was he in? If you don't, what branch of service was he in? Come here, baby. Yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. Well, you will see him again. And I tell myself that every day with my friends that are in heaven and my animals that are in heaven. Tricia says, I can totally understand Savannah going back to work. If you don't have something else to occupy your mind will eat you alive. Absolutely. Absolutely. He was in the Air Force. What do you think they're going to do with Nancy Guthrie's house? Right now, nothing. And there's nobody around there watching it. I think that's kind of strange. Well, they did put in a lot of security cameras, so I think people are watching it remotely. You have zero doubts I will most definitely see him again. Absolutely. And you may not be aware, but he's watching over you right now. He knows what's going on. Remember, death is not the end. Death is just a transition. But I still grieve every day for the loss of my friend. That was the toughest one in my life to take, and I still haven't accepted it. And I know the sooner I let go, the better I will feel. But it's just too hard right now. Thank you, everyone. And I know this sounds heartless side, but I believe all things have a season. Yes, we grieve for our loss. I think going back to work for Savannah is a wonderful thing. And she doesn't even need the money. She could walk away and be set for life. But she needs this because this is who she is. This is what she does. It's very important. And it's very important for her children, too, that their lives get back to normal. And she may have more on her plate than this thing with her mother because of the rumors that have never been confirmed that there's trouble in paradise with the marriage, and there has been for months. I don't know if that's true. But, I can see why, if that is true, on top of everything else that's going on where, she's losing her faith. And she needs those coworkers. They're like her family. And supposedly Jenna Bush, who works on the Today Show, is her best friend. That's what I've heard. I know she's a lot closer to her than she is to Hoda. She has to focus on her job in order to do it well, and that gives her mind a rest from the what ifs and whys. Absolutely. Okay, I want to ask you, did you get your plumbing taken care of? I think it was the sink or something. Yes, and it wasn't the plumber that I thought. It was two other yahoos, and they were actual plumbers, so they claim. And but they didn't have the ability, even with the special plumbing wrench, they couldn't get the trap off, and they had to do it from the top. So I question their ability if they were plumbers, themselves, or they were just handymen that were sent by another construction company because they said they work for such and such construction company. I'm like, but are you plumbers? And then they had plumbing something on their backs, but like they couldn't get the trap off the drain. Oh yeah, when you lose somebody that's closer to you, I think about my mother every day and honor my mother. That's the way to do it. Honor your loved ones that you miss. True. I'll be tapped on my foot. I fell asleep on the couch watching this. Yeah, it's kind of late now that I went on a second time. I'm sorry we woke you up, Jay. Jenna Bush will hold her up. I hope so. Well, they always say there's a reason for everything, even though we don't understand. It's difficult. I have to tell myself that every day, but my heart is still completely shattered. So I know how you guys feel when you're dealing with the death of a loved one. Whether it's a family member, a spouse, a significant other, a best friend, a pet. And I've had a lot of loss the last few years, so I totally get that. Well, I'd rather have Savannah back on the show than that other lady, that other woman that was taking her place. Yeah, she used to be on the show full time, and she had just left the show in December, and then she was brought back in February because of Savannah, and that was Hoda Kotb. Yeah, and Savannah, she goes a long ways back. I think a lot longer than Coda, because she was on the show with Matt Lauer. And I was very proud of Savannah. I've just seen clips of it, but she was smiling, and she just looked beautiful in that yellow dress, and all the co-hosts, they're wearing the yellow ribbons. I think that was a classy thing to do. Oh, hello, Melissa. Yeah, I saw your comment on the last video. I had to come live again just to tell everybody that I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to call the FBI. Even in the middle of my Dodger game, I had to call the FBI and talk to somebody who would actually listen to me, and I did that. And you can watch this on the replay and hear what I had to say. Savannah tried to get her mother to come to New York because her and her mother are the closest, and her mother said, no, I love Tucson. Yes. Well, I think she was sentimentally attached to her home. 2024, we lost a loved one every 2 months. I didn't know if we were going to make it through the year. Then January 7th, the husband had 2 strokes the same day. I had to say, not today, Satan. Ugh, I know, it just seems like it just keeps piling on. That's why I'm just like, I don't even want to do my dental appointments, but I have to. I mean, I want to, but it's just like enough is enough. But that'll be a walk in the park for me compared to all these surgeries. And that's what they did. That's when they did that show last year in November at Nancy's home. I know. She said she just loved Tucson, but Savannah wanted her to come to New York. I know. Yeah. And she was very sharp. She didn't have dementia or Alzheimer's, apparently. She was sharp as a tack. Now, physically, she had gone very downhill the last several months. Apparently, she lost her dog in the end of December. Dawn, welcome back. Hello, April. Haven't been on here for a while. Hurt my back at work and been down for a while. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you're feeling better. Well, you can always catch up. Just go to the playlist and lots happen. Did you know someone called DCS on Nancy? No, that's not true. That's not true at all, from what I've been hearing. The lady that came out, the social worker that came out, it was a routine check that happens when a person from a home is reported missing. So like a social worker that deals with the elderly came out after the disappearance, and she put the card on the door, and of course all the YouTubers on the ground ran up and looked at it. And they said that no, there had not been any reports to social services before she died. That was deemed not true, as was the information, the false information that Kayla Day was a grandniece of hers and a cousin to Savannah. That's not true at all. But if I'm wrong, call me out on it. When someone goes missing, they have to leave a contact number for family. Yes, absolutely, that's true. Yeah, that was just that bigger YouTuber that someone says gets $100 in super chats every 10 minutes, saying, "Oh, a social worker was there," and making a mountain out of a molehill when it was a routine visit that happens when someone goes missing. I see you guys are talking amongst yourselves. Thank you very much for coming in. I'll be on a few more minutes, and then I have to go cook some late dinner because I don't eat much earlier in the day, and I've been trying not to eat too much just because of that sensitivity and that tooth. Tricia says, however, one of Nancy's friends spoke to someone off camera and said she didn't understand why they were saying that Nancy was immobile. I heard about that. They were saying she had far more good days than bad. I heard that too, Tricia. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, DCS is Department of Child. It's Department of Child Services usually, but they do have social workers for elder adults as well. Even though they cleared the family, it is possible they can still revisit the possible suspects. Exactly. And it's just Sheriff Bananos, nanos, bananos, tomato, tomato, whatever you want to call these people, that said that they're clear, but the FBI hasn't cleared anybody. I haven't cleared not one person. I'm just hoping that little Carlos isn't involved. Remember our little DoorDash guy. I heard it online this past weekend that the marriage was on the rocks, but I do not know if any of that is true. It could just be somebody throwing something out there for clickbait. We will see. Time will tell. Yeah, paid off for you to come back on again because the thing says 10 and 10. Yeah. But as far as, I think was it Tricia that told me that even when the goal is met, that it would still work, right? Like I don't have to turn it back on again or turn it off. It just, somebody could still, if they said, oh, I want to send a super chat or well, it wouldn't be a super thanks because we're still live, but it would still work. Is that true, Tricia? DSS, Department of Senior Services. Okay, thank you for clarifying, Kathy. APS is adults here. Yeah, every county and state does it different. Carlos Jr. isn't And I think they didn't realize at first there was a Carlos Jr. They were looking for Sr. to be a suspect. Yes, because in the beginning of the case, they were looking at all of the convicted S offenders in the area, which included Carlos Alberto Palazuelos, who I'm assuming is Junior, and DoorDash guy is I'm assuming that the S offender, the older one that's in the 50s, is the senior, and the son that's in his 30s is the junior. But they could be first, second, and third, fourth, fifth. I don't know, but yeah, he lived or does live. The father in Tucson is a convicted S offender, but not of the elderly, of a girl, an underage girl. And then you do have Junior, who is DoorDash guy that was probably in that area, maybe in that neighborhood at times because of his third-party delivery. So then they went bing, bing. And, but, something else could come out that we don't know. Yeah, it was Junior that did the DoorDash, and he also worked for a third-party company that delivered for supposedly Amazon, UPS, and even FedEx as a third party. DoorDash was just a side hustle for him and his wife, as far as I know. But that's why he had the white van. He has a white van, by the way. And when his mother-in-law's house was raided, that white van was found there, disabled. But as far as I know, that white van was never towed or taken into custody. You are correct about Savannah. She's dealing more than just her mother, and you are correct what you said, and I think it's been quite a battle. Yeah, those two have seemed a little off to me. Something didn't seem right, but just in pictures that I've seen, something, and he traveled. He wasn't always with her, but yet the kids at some point were in Florida, then they were in New York, and then as soon as she got back, he was off on a tennis trip, and she was actually overnight at Carson's. Like, something just seems a little off there, but time will tell. You're having another protein shake. I'm not even hungry. I am hungry because I didn't eat much today. I had one waffle. I think they're trying to hold on as much as they can for the kids now more than ever. But yeah, Savannah is dealing with a lot. Keep putting one foot forward, Savannah. We're with you. This person with the ransom notes has heard gossip and wants to cash in. Well, there's been multiple ransom notes and multiple different demands from different people. And most of them are probably BS, but there could be truth to something. We don't know yet. Whoops, my phone. I'm sorry. And before her mother went missing, Savannah was also in the hospital. Oh, yeah, she had some vocal cord surgery, as far as I know. Yeah, she was getting ready to go to Italy the same week that she had to fly to Arizona. Adult Protection Services, APS, says Kathy. I thought it was odd that Savannah went to work, then the ransom show up after no contact after the last one. I know. Whoops. Push the wrong button. Vocal cord correction. Okay. Thank you, Tricia. Dawn says, I think I found your twin. My stepmom looks just like you and identical personality. Where's your stepmom from, Dawn? They say everybody has a twin out there somewhere. The good JR. Well, I always go back to day one, February 1st, and talk all about what did happen and didn't happen because there's a lot to talk about on February 1st. Absolutely. I'm off to eat. See you later. Me too. And the Dodger game is 14-2, and I missed most of the game. But I do feel better that I called the FBI. And I don't know if I will be going live tomorrow or not, but Wednesday will definitely be a question mark because I will probably be under the influence of Novocaine. So I'll be like, I won't be able to speak. And I don't want to bite my tongue or swallow my tongue or something while I'm live. Don, you're in Omaha, Nebraska. Well, I've never known anybody, Don, from Nebraska. Kathy says, I bought muscle milk powder. If you have a good shaker bottle, they do a good job. I put myself on high protein diet and workouts to tone myself. JR investigator. Yeah, that lady called that Nancy's daughter said she didn't show up, and then the daughter called before noon and said that her mother was missing February 1st. It was really strange. There's a lot of problems with the multiple timelines on all of that. Just saying. As to who knew what, when, and where. Okay, that's what the lady also said. That's when Nancy was supposed to show up at her house to watch church online. She always showed up, and she had a different story about Nancy. Exactly. Trisha, Omaha always makes me think of steak and insurance. You know what they used to say on Wild Kingdom? That's probably before your time. They'd say Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. My twin. So that's what I think is important to hear, what the people from the church have to say, because a lot of times you can get a different story from what others say. They're trying to recall the sheriff. Oh, yes. Okay, you know what? Time to go make something. And give this about 5 minutes if you're going to watch the replay, because as soon as I hit the little closeout button and it closes out, I do have to go to the back end of YouTube on Studio, and I do have to reaffirm the monetization. So I don't know why they do that now, but if you do a live, it's like if I do a live from the field, as soon as I turned it off, I didn't know that people that were watching on the replay, like from my Brady Bunch house video, that they were, those clicks weren't counting, because I need to turn it back on. I have to return the monetization on. So it takes about 5 minutes just to recharge my mics and to get everything hooked up, the iPad, the phone, the mics, and to turn on that monetization. And please, I can't emphasize this enough, when you're rewatching the videos, try to rewatch some of the long form content videos, because they pay more per 1,000 than the lives. The lives, there's not much income that comes in. There's some. It's not as bad as the shorts, which are worth like 2 pennies or something. But yeah. Have a great night. Thank you, April, for sharing your time and energy with us until we are all together again. Much love. Yeah, don't know if I'm coming on tomorrow. Just whatever happens, happens. And, Wednesday, it's going to be like a midday dental. And I think it's going to be one of a long series of appointments. So if I am numb, I won't be able to go live. Okay, everybody, thank you for coming back, especially those, that were here the first time. Welcome to all the new people. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you smash that like button and click that bell icon when you subscribe so that you'll get notified anytime I go live. And thank you for all your support. Thank you for the 10 super chats. Thank you to the people that sent the jewels. I appreciate each and every one of you. I'll see you as soon as possible.